Broadcasting from Berlin, Germany, Solutions Review is on location at MobileIron Live 2019. Brought to you by MobileIron.
We are here at Motorwerk in Berlin, MobileIron Live 2019. It's a customer conference, but there are all kinds of partners as well, and one of the partners is Samsung, and we are joined by Nick Dawson, Senior Director of Enterprise Business. Well, and you just walked off the stage, and what you were presenting I thought was a very interesting conversation to have. And that's really around Samsung Knox, which is really the enterprise solution that you're bringing to the table. And it's interesting to me anyway, because of the way that we see the layers being kind of dealt with from a security perspective. Everybody's now got a thought around it and are bringing all these layers of protection, and I thought it would be interesting to kind of get your perspective on how you think about it from the device perspective.
Yeah, and I mean, really, that's fundamentally what we're responsible for in this whole construct. I tell people frequently, when I try to dumb it down and keep it real simple, you can think of any computing device as really having three broad layers. You got your application layer at the top, you got an operating system firmware layer in the middle, and then you've got the hardware layer at the bottom. And the lower your level of access, on that sort of diagram that we draw in our mind, the higher your level of privilege. So it's not to say that application level security is important, or that the people building the operating system, like our colleagues at Google, aren't important. They're absolutely vital to everything that happens. But you've got to build all of this on a trusted foundation. And that's where we start with Samsung Knox. Knox is a lot of things. It started out as a core security platform that we embed into all of our devices so that you can trust the device itself, the hardware, the endpoint. You can monitor it, you can manage it, you can ensure that it boots up and is always operating in a state of integrity, is what we talk about. From there, we also then layer up into the operating system with our implementation of Android, our firmware, to provide this overlapping series of defense and security mechanisms. And we work with partners around the world at that application level to make sure that they seamlessly have access to command and control of all of this, ultimately exposing the value of a combined hardware operating system application level solution to our customers out there. So, and yeah, you're absolutely right. It starts in the hardware for us. We're the largest hardware manufacturer on earth. It's our responsibility to do that.
Well, and an interesting point you also made is that it isn't just a mobile device anymore. No. With the oncoming advances in 5G, with IoT, you have so many interesting devices now on the edge that are connecting to the network that it needs to think about it in a much more broad scale.
Connecting to the network and connecting to each other as well. And we're very used to a hub and spoke system where things come back to a central point and then go back out. If you think about a smart city grid or something like that, your car is going to have to talk to the car next to it in real time. I'm not talking about driverless cars or things like that. That'll come, obviously. Sure. But even just you and me driving in our own vehicles down the street, we have the ability these days to have these devices talk to each other. And to me, a car is just a device. It's another endpoint on the network. My phone is an endpoint. My watch is an endpoint. My TV is an endpoint. My computer. The sensors, in the basement of a building monitoring temperature control. If it's connected to an enterprise network, it's an enterprise endpoint. We build more endpoints than anybody at Samsung. If you don't believe me, you can come to my apartment in Seoul.
I've got one.
Everything is Samsung. My vacuum cleaner, everything. It's all Samsung. But we build all these endpoints, and it's our job to make sure that we put a security platform in them so that people can trust them, first of all, on the network, see them, monitor them, manage them, deploy them, and configure them the way they want to. And so that's what we do with our entire Knox portfolio. So it's one part security platform, and then an accompanying modular suite of services, solutions, whatever word you feel like using today, that allow people to do whatever they want with our devices. All exposed through, for example, our partners at MobileIron, whose conference we're at here today. They have the command and control interface to all of these things, and we plug seamlessly into that, alongside all the other things that they support. Right? Other devices from other manufacturers.
Well, it's interesting because I think MobileIron is state of the art these days with regard to enterprise security, but the art is changing so rapidly. There's so much happening, and there's so much coming down the pipe, and I think 5G is as good a topic as any as a game changer.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I noticed you were talking about is how you can begin to leverage that not only the speed but the capacity,
Yeah.
and also I guess what you would call situational awareness,
Right.
as you're thinking about the future of device management and
Yeah.
security.
Yeah, there's a couple things there. I mean, 5G will absolutely change the world. And I know a lot of people probably roll their eyes at it a little bit, thinking, okay, it's just faster. Great, wonderful. And it is faster, mind-blowingly faster. But you also have more lanes on the highway, right?
Right.
More devices can connect. The killer feature for me, though, is near zero latency. There's a delay on a network today. Send yourself an email. It takes a few seconds to round trip.
That's relevant
right?
to security.
That lack of delay on 5G, that instantaneous communication, is what finally unlocks IoT at scale, right? People have been talking about IoT forever.
Right.
We get bored of it. But that's what unlocks IoT. That's what enables smart city grids, all these things, because now the devices can talk to each other in real time. So what happens is we're going to be adding billions, literally billions of new connected endpoints and different types to networks around the world over the next 2 to 5 years, right? The Gartners of the world suggest 25 plus billion, right? And everybody's in that range, right? How do we secure those? How do we manage them? How do we monitor them? One of the things I worry about, this also, the other thing it's going to lead to is artificial intelligence, greater use of AI, because we're going to have so much data input coming from these devices into systems, humans won't be able to deal with it. Again, smart city grid is going to have to be able to divert traffic, call emergency paramedics, et cetera, on its own. So we're going to be feeding data from these endpoints into systems, and AI is either going to be assisting or making decisions on its own.
Well,
and if I can inject a false data point into any one of those endpoints on the network, it's the butterfly effect from chaos theory, right? The catastrophic effects downstream are going to be magnified, well, God knows what the number is, but it's going to be atrocious.
No, and that's what I think is so fascinating, is the fact that it has been effectively a human element to security and control of network devices and access and so forth. But now it really is going to have to be driven by AI.
AI is going to have to be. AI is already there in certain capacities today, and AI, I think, will grow as an assistive technology to give you information to allow you to make a better decision. Ultimately, in time, certain things, certain mundane tasks, or in some cases critical things, AI can do those on its own. It doesn't need you. You'll always be able to override it, right? The day of the robot's taken over, no one's building that. Well, we aren't anyways, maybe somebody else is. But, AI is very powerful. But one of the things you mentioned earlier, the contextual awareness, the situational awareness becomes very, very important to all of this. How are you using the device? Where are you? If you just think of it in terms of a smartphone today, which is the easiest way for us to picture this, is, we all walk a certain way. We all have a certain typing pattern, maybe phraseology. We have patterns of usage where we are on certain days and times and things like that. And the device has that data. It's anonymous data. It's not like files or anything like that. It's just like data that is sitting there. So we've built out a platform, an analytics platform within our Knox framework that we can provide to MobileIron and mobile threat defense vendors and things like that, so they can make better decisions and provide you, an IT administrator, with better information about what's going on with your fleet of devices based on the context and the usage. Then where AI comes in is you could actually have automatically, if somebody deviates from a trusted baseline too much, automatically stop a service, remove an application entirely from the device, right? And only redeploy it once somebody's come back into a safe zone and things like that.
Right.
And that's where we're going with this type of stuff.
It's really, it's almost like business process management, in that you're setting in the rules and the framework for how you're going to allow things to connect to the network or other devices based upon certain contextual parameters.
Right, exactly.
And if any anomalies begin to flash, the system will effectively...
Things happen, right? And it can just be a notification, or in many cases it'll actually be, look, the system will just take over and make a decision for you.
Right.
Say, look, I'm going to do this because I think it's the right thing to do. And that's what AI is supposed to. It's supposed to learn to be able to do those things. But you have to feed it data. We have a ton of data available from the endpoints that we interact with, whether they be phones, watches, TVs, or whatever. Let's use that data and put it to good use.
Well, and I think it's interesting because ultimately, to the end user, the biometrics of these devices now can easily validate what may have been turned off in order to just be on the safe side. And you can easily use facial recognition or some other biometric.
We can do a number of things. I mean, today to authenticate to a device or a service on the device, like an application, it used to be passwords or PINs. Now absolutely, facial recognition, iris scans, fingerprints, whatever you want. Ultimately, we're talking about going a step further. We're talking about continuous authentication. So you authenticate in once, but as you're using the device, there's this baseline that is created, and deviations from that, anomalous behavior, may prompt an action, right? May prompt you, the IT administrator, to perform an action, should you choose to do so, or may just take one on its own in the interest of safety. And that's the interesting thing, is all of this is about taking data and manipulating features, turning something off, turning something on, things like that. That's feature management.
Yep.
We do feature management, by and large, to heighten our security posture in an enterprise setting, right?
Yep.
In an enterprise setting. It's all about heightening our security posture. I have a great example I use all the time. It's me. So I work at Samsung Digital City, which is on the outskirts of Seoul, at Samsung Electronics Global HQ. And when I go to work in the morning, like a lot of people, I go through a security turnstile badge thing. Lasers come down from the sky if I do it wrong. And as soon as I walk in, a number of things happen to my phone, right? And my phone, I use it for work and personal. I got two sides to my phone, but a number of things happen to my phone. It's immediately blocked, the camera's turned off on either side of the device. Disable the camera, secure R&D facility,
sure.
No pictures.
Yep.
I'm locked to the internal Wi-Fi network, but I can't use my phone as a hotspot for a third-party device or appliance because we don't know what that is. We don't want it anywhere near our network. And also my USB port can only be used to charge the device. I can't upload or download any data. As soon as I walk off campus, all of those restrictions are removed for me because now I'm back out in my personal world.
Geofencing, right? Is brilliant.
We're just turning features on and off, but we're doing it to have a heightened security posture. Today, and up until now, IT administrators have set rules. They've physically thought, or mentally thought it out and physically gone into a system to turn things on. If this, then that, right, is what we've done. What happens now with contextual awareness, continuous authentication, is the need to really map out a decision tree and specific decision trees for each event that could possibly occur tends to diminish because the device will automatically just do things should something weird happen, right?
Well, and I think it's a cultural change as well, right? You know what's going to happen when you go to Samsung HQ.
Yeah.
You've been prepared for that, and it works for you. And ultimately, I think that's part of the conversation that's happening now is getting folks over that cultural shift of, the device is going to have to make some decisions for you.
Or there are going to be certain restrictions placed upon you, right? And I mean, people have to accept that. One of the things, and I think any security pundit on earth, or most of them anyways, will probably tell you the same thing I do, which is your biggest security gap in the enterprise is your employees.
Exactly.
Right? And it's not necessarily because they all have malicious behavior.
Right.
It's they don't have intent. It's just they make silly decisions sometimes. They click on a link.
They're not binary.
They download an app. They do something, and they don't think of the potential consequences, or they're simply unaware of them. So, I mean, we try on a continuous basis in the industry to educate people, but it's boring, dry stuff, and frankly, the average user is like, I don't care. It's not my problem, it's IT's problem. So the more tools that we can build in at the platform level is the ecosystem, and I own the platform with the device, we can build in the ability to automatically just do those things. And what we're trying to do, and we've been doing it with our Knox ecosystem for a number of years, and with Unified Endpoint Management, formerly EMM, every couple of years we change the acronym, right? What we've been trying to do, and arguably we've done a pretty good job as an industry, is we've been trying to abstract complexity away from the end user and dump it on the IT department. They make decisions about how things will work.
Right.
The end user no longer has to go to a site, download a thing, and type in a password. It's just done, right?
Yep.
They get a device, it's done. Now what I'm trying to do, and what we're trying to do at Samsung, is we're trying to take a lot of that complexity away from the IT department,
right,
freeing up expensive human resources that, let's face it, didn't train to be on the help desk.
Well, and quite frankly, there aren't that many available to fill all the open recs anyway.
And automate a lot of this, and provide the tools and the data and the inputs required so less people can manage the fleet. It doesn't mean there's less jobs, it's just it means that the other people get to do creative, interesting things, which is what they want to do in the first place.
Well, and the power of the device is only growing as well, and you're just going to free people up to be more innovative without having to worry as much about containment.
Yeah, and I mean containment's interesting. We've got a solution that we sell that's it's called Samsung DeX. It's short for desktop experience, and it started out as a little docking station. You put your phone in. Now you use the USB cable. You just plug in. We'll eventually get to a point where it's completely wireless. Right?
Yeah.
But what it does is it turns our phone into a desktop appliance. It doesn't just explode the screen bigger. That looks gross. What it does, it actually gives you an actual proper toolbar, supports right mouse click, peripherals, everything. It looks like a desktop. I've got more power in I got the latest Galaxy S10 Plus in my pocket. I have more power, more storage, more memory, more everything in that than I have in my laptop on my desk or at home. So being able to plug that in and use that. But now we've got an interesting situation. Now I've got this mobile device that is out there, that is the computer. People can plug it into things at home. You connect it to your home. How do I control that as an IT administrator? All I've done now is I've taken my threat envelope and I've stretched it so far. How am I going to deal with this? So that's what we're building. We're building the tools to be able to do that.
Well, and that's the balance that you have to strike, is if we're going to give people more power and we want these things in the enterprise, we do need to, I think it's very interesting to see how device makers, operating systems are all investing in that counterbalance to, it's not just more power.
No.
It's
and
that balance.
Yeah, we look at the enterprise space. We know, I mean, there are studies done by myriad organizations out there that do this, that still the three biggest concerns, in the IT department in enterprise are security, manageability, productivity. So I do the security, the manageability part, and if I do it right, then the productivity then follows based on how you use them, deploy them, etc. Right? It's still number one concern. And again, the easiest way to have a secure model is to turn everything off and not use something. Well, that's not a viable option, right? So, and security can be over complexified and made difficult and obstructive for people. We're trying to make it so that, look, you, the end user, should be able to do whatever it is that you need to do or want to do. That's fine. But where you touch a corporate asset or system, there are the tools there so that without intruding on your life or world or changing how you've got to work, we're okay. The corporation is protected as well. Because, we got a lot of IP, we got to protect it, things like that.
And we're under attack. I mean,
everyone's under attack. Oh, that is so critical. Like, if people think they're not under attack, they are deluding themselves. Everyone is under attack constantly.
You had an interesting example where you pointed out just simply going to another country and connecting to a network.
Yeah.
You could potentially not even realize the surveillance that is now upon you.
Yeah.
Without.
And especially depending on where you work, right? I mean, if you work out of, say, DC, whether you work, for a contractor or, DOD or something like that.
Which is evident by what you're carrying.
Yeah, they know that. Like, you go to a foreign country that is not friendly, you're passing through on vacation was the example I used.
Yep.
You're being a good corporate citizen. You turn on your phone to double check this, that, and the other, something, right? You're doing the right thing, right? But they know exactly where that device came from in that foreign country.
Which lights up a bunch of other things.
And they start attacking that endpoint to get into it. Not necessarily because of the data that's on it. They'll take that in 5 seconds. That's easy. But that endpoint is connected to the rest of your corporate enterprise network. It's a gateway to everything else that's on there. So if you work for a defense contractor and you happen to be passing through Hong Kong on vacation, you didn't tell your IT administrator to turn certain things on or off because you wouldn't have thought to, right? You're going on vacation. You forgot, whatever.
Right.
Now all of a sudden, you're under attack, and you know what? With certain devices, they'll find a way in. My devices, they won't find a way in, because mine are better than other people's, obviously.
Well,
but those are the things that people need to think about and be aware of, and those are the challenges that we work towards mitigating.
Yeah, no, it's a brave new world. It's changing so rapidly. The power is unparalleled, and the vulnerabilities are unparalleled. But it's a pleasure to have you swing by and share that.
Oh, it's a pleasure.
You're a great guy to talk to. You really know your.
Excellent. Well, no, I know 3 things, and I told you all of them. So I'm glad we're wrapping it up.
We got it all out.
We got it all out.
All right, Nick. Well, thanks a lot for swinging by.
No problem. Cheers.
Appreciate it.
Enjoy the rest of the show.
Thank
Bye.
you.